Hey everybody, what's going on? Emo Tempest here, back with another very interesting deck profile for you guys. Now, since the meta's been kind of established and we've talked about it already on the podcast, I kind of wanted to go off and, find another path. And so I found some success with this deck, and I thought it'd be good to share it with you guys and for anyone who's interested. The main things I want to talk about is why I built this deck and just some of the lines and combos for you guys, and then I'll leave you guys to build it and test it and play it for yourselves, obviously. So the main thing is why I built this deck, right? The first thing will have to be this lightning. The lightning was originally, it's an L, right? We got two lightnings to set, the lightning water and the ice lightning one, I believe. And so the other one has already found a home, and several of us have tried to find a home for this one. And so in my head, I wanted to, that was kind of the original basis for this deck, right? It was going to be a lightning deck. Then the other thing that kind of put this together was Echidna. I've already shared my thoughts on an Echidna with you guys in water, and I stand by that. But I felt that, Echidna has a better purpose, right? Like I prefer it in decks like RPP, right? Because the summons are so like plentiful or bountiful, if you will, and there's a lot of uses to recur certain summons, right? In mono water, I always found that I'm always pitching or holding on to the good summons, and this makes me want to pitch, like, I don't want to pitch them for him just to draw more cards and deck out faster. But that in my mono water video. Anyway, and so I'm trying to find a better way for him as well this time around. And so I've also mentioned that I like the synergy between these two, Man in Black and Echidna. And so Man in Black's, the part of the purpose is that, Echidna will pitch your summons to attack or block and draw, as well as recur one on entry. And then what's the best way to reuse those summons better than, the Man in Black, who can, get them from the break zone and cast them at our free will later. And so in theory, this is a Man in Black deck, and so it kind of became that way, but it also utilizes the lightnings that we hear, hence the name, right? Lightning water Man in Black. So or water lightning Man in Black, however you want to read it. But yeah, so without further ado, just let's get into the numbers. We're playing 6 lightnings here. Lightnings, again, you want to have enough for both this effect and this effect. This is a good way to control the board if your opponent's going wide, and this is a good way to help draw cards and push game, right? We don't care if she dies because we're able to bring her back later. So we just want to have an abundance to use both abilities, right? Next is 2 Titus. Titus is pretty self-explanatory, but he's just a really sticky card for people to deal with always, and that's why we like him. So the Lakshmi and the Seymour are flex picks. I know we usually go over these later in the list, but I think those are the only ones really. I can argue that Behemoth K is also a flex pick, but I just love this card and how well he does at damage 5 in the game. Anyway, but yeah, so I originally had 2 Lakshmi, and we were drawing a lot of cards and we were decking out. And then I switched with 2 Seymour, and I just don't like the idea of, yes, he breaks, but he's a little too costly for the rest of the deck, I guess. And then the second part kind of just his second effect kind of breaks up our synergy, right? In which we didn't want. So I have him at 1 and 1 just because you can go either way, or you can sub these out. Personally, I think I added worms now, or more monsters, or another X-Death. I can't remember where I landed, but that's still the post video stuff, things I work on the side after all the play testing. The X-Death is also a very crucial part to the synergy. If you guys have played X-Death, or if you've encountered it, when he enters, he removes all characters from the game, right? So there is some both synergy and some, what's the word I'm looking for? Contradictions in the deck, right? And what that means is that, yes, we keep our summons in the break zone for Man in Black and Echidna, but we also remove our forwards and characters like the lightnings and stuff. So in theory, you would try to avoid or bring out a lightning before casting the X-Death, which is fine, but this is also why we have 6 of them, right? If, you know, mid-game you have 2 in there and you're waiting for the other 4, or any combination, right, and you're still able to play this one or have one of these in the break zone while you're pushing for game, is very useful. And so X-Death is just that. That's why he's both beneficial and contradicting. And then the Behemoth K, like I mentioned, he's just a really big monster that kind of helps us keep the board on. Again, Man in Black's your biggest engine here. You kind of want to make sure you get to 3 backups and then play him and then have him do his thing. And so, you know, he has support from, you know, your backups and all your summons, obviously. And so, you know, things like Tros and Echidna can get through. The monsters are pretty self-explanatory. But again, the thing is that when you have Echidna out, you also want to make sure you have Man in Black out. So you're pitching while he's attacking, and you're able to recur a lot of this stuff. Now, before we get into the summons, I want to talk... Well, actually, no, we get into the summons first, then we'll talk about the backups. We have 2 Leviathans, 2 Ixions, 3 Atomos, 3 of the canceling autos, Leviathan, 2 Sildra, and 3 Odin. Now, I have found that despite how good these are, I also like Cuchulainn here. Cuchulainn is probably the better pick in my opinion, but this is where it originally started. And so cards like Man in Black being able to recur 1 CP summons is just absurd, which is why we have the unit here, and this is one of the biggest things, right? So Man in Black's effect to, you know, remove remove a summon and let you cast it later, Yuna still does that for you, right? So Yuna's still there for that reduction, right? As long as they're water cards. So, you know, your Leviathans, your Cuchulainn stay at 1, Atomos and this Levy stay at 2, and then if you felt like it, you could cast Sildra for 3 as well. But you want your summons to be a majority of water summons, so you get this extra beneficial value, right? Always very good. The Ixions are just for your matchup specific, but I find that more and more days that this meta goes on, it's becoming very useful in a lot of matchups. There's a few games I've played recently, and not just with this deck, but others that I find thinking that Ixion, where is my Ixion? Or, you know, why didn't I put Ixions in this deck? Or maybe I should make a version where Ixions can fit in this deck. Yeah, it covers a lot of bases with this card. This card's definitely seeing a lot of play this time. And then the 3 Odins, the EX Burst. I went with the EX Burst one, EX Burst 5-cost one, because it can, for 2 reasons. One, yes, it has EX Burst. It fits the Odin that we need for that description for the lightning ability. But mostly because it's reduction on its own, right? At 5 cost, you're able to, you know, break something 5 or less for 2 CP, and that also applies when Man in Black steals it and holds onto it, right? So if when you pay Man in Black, you holding onto an Odin until damage 5, your opponent's always going to be really wary of getting you there, right? So when they're pushing for game, they're either going to keep you at 4, in which case it lets you build up, or, you know, if they get you to 5, you can save yourself very often because you're able to play it for cheaper. So and ultimately when that happens, then that's the next turn where you can bring in the lightning and stuff, right? So it's good to keep these, you know, on reserve so you're able to you know, close out the games. Yeah, the backups are pretty self-explanatory. Yuna, for the reasons I mentioned. 2 Summoner, just to kind of, I feel like always need to play this card in water these days. You know, you want to cancel, you know, Amad's Mist Dragons, your big problems. And that's usually the biggest problems with any water lightning list we've made in the past, like the Scion one, this one, and I can't think of any others. But yeah, anything in these colors, I feel. Oh, actually, the crystals in the lightning water crystals that we've played. I think it's Danny Diaz's list, which was like a tricolored, but we had to add these into for that same protection, right? And so, you know, those are your biggest like hurdles when playing a deck like this. So at least some support helps out. You know, water and lightning don't have summon cancels yet or anything like that in a summon form. We have autos cancels now, which is great, and, you know, board wipes of such, and canceling abilities with the other Cuchulainn, but, you know, nothing to negate summons. Len is the other draw engine in this one. So while you're playing those summons from either Man in Black or from your hand free, you know, on both your turn and your opponent's turn, if you have all your backups up and stuff, you're able to draw further into the deck. And so between all of the drawing from your summons and, you know, the Echidna, you're also drawing from Tros and Len now. And then aside from your searchers like Lumina's just there to get you your lightnings. I try to fit in something else from 13, but it doesn't really fit. So the bright side though is that Lumina does color fix you here. You're able to get your waters if you need to play for your backups. Walk is the same. Kind of, he just helps you get these guys faster, any kind of the water stuff. Most of these things are 10 anyway. That's the other reason Seymour was there at the time, to kind of fix that. So I guess there's a world where you can play the Lightning Seymour backup, and then this is a little more versatile, but I'll leave that up to you guys. And then just Aldo and City Clan Gully for, you know, you want to search your one of these three powerhouses on wherever you're feeling lucky, and then this is to recur them before, you know, or extra EX burst count. The count's a little low for my taste, 9, but I think it just plays really well overall. But yeah, guys, that's it for the list. Again, your main things are, you know, Mana Black Echidna, you know, reducing costs, and then, you know, falling back on lightning control while everyone else punches in for damage. So as far as matchups go, it does fare against like the big three. If you're able to see backups, right, I think you have a better chance if you get to 3 backups. If you kind of don't and you just like 1 backup man in black, then you've kind of already lost, I think. And even though you're paying for some of these summons a lot cheaper, you know, you still need resources. And then I think against most rogue stuff, it does really well as well. So, you know, give it a try. Let me know what you think. Put it in the comments. Come back and tell me it sucks or whatever. Your choice. But yeah, guys, if you haven't, make sure to check out the other deck profiles we've been doing lately. Some fun stuff for sure. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're new here, you know, you can always put in requests, I guess, in the bottom too, what you guys want to see me mess with. So, yeah, I'll catch you guys later.